What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Power Play with CJ. I just want to focus in a little bit on the Ryan Kesler trade, how it's paying dividends for the Ducks right now, and how it is eerily similar, the more I think about it, to another trade that saw a disgruntled player leave a Canadian city and end up in Orange County. And of course, I'm referring to the Chris Pronger trade, which was 7 years ago. No, 8 years ago. That's 6. But you look at what they brought in Pronger for. The reigning MVP Joe Thornton had landed, a couple hundred miles up the coast, and the Ducks were a good team, and they were looking to take that next step, and they needed that, the big time defenseman to complement Scott Niedermayer, and ultimately it helped deliver the franchise's first Stanley Cup, and to date only one. Pronger was a big role in that. Future Hall of Fame defensemen don't grow on trees, or if they do grow on trees, point your average NHL general manager to where they do, so they can be acquired. But with Kesler, the Western Conference, you legitimately need two centers, and the Ducks have an ace first line center, Ryan Kesler. But they needed to take some of the heat off him, and all due respect to Saku Koivu and Nick Bonino, neither one of them was really cutting it consistently enough on the second line. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made the Kesler trade. But you look at Kesler, who plays in all situations, goes up against the other team's top line, plays big time penalty kill minutes, can play in the power play, gives you some grit, gives you a little bit of sandpaper, in that second line center spot. And takes some of the heat on Getzlaf to let him do his thing offensively. When he's doing his thing offensively, there's few players in the league that are better. But going a step further, the way you need those two centers in the West. They get sent home by the Kings last May. They got Kopitar and they got Jeff Carter. Obviously Mike Richards in that mix as well. But for the sake of argument, let's just talk about those two. Both big centers that can wreak havoc. Likewise, you go to Chicago. You got Jonathan Taves. Those bona fide contending teams in the West have those two centers. That's part of the reason Chicago picked up Brad Richards off the scrap heap, was to fill that void in the second line, and why Dallas went out and traded for Jason Spezza. And that's obviously hasn't paid dividends for them, but you catch my drift. I think Anaheim made the smartest move possible, and that's not only getting a second line center, but getting someone that can take the defensive heat off Getzlaf. And I think it's ultimately going to make them, they're the favorites in the Western Conference right now. They got the best record in hockey, and you'd be foolish to bet against them. And I think it's a similar situation to the Pronger trade 8 years ago, where they needed that complement to Niedermayer. They went out and they got Pronger, and Pronger gave them a different look on the back end, and they were able to ultimately win the 2007 Stanley Cup. I think addressing your organizational weaknesses, your biggest weakness on the depth chart is the difference in many ways between winning and losing. I mean, I think they turned their second line center spot from a position of weakness to one of their greatest strengths. And Corey Perry's out a few weeks; he'll be back. When this team gets rolling, I would not want to play them in the Western Conference. I know the goaltending questions are bound. Anderson's Anderson. I think Gibson's still the real deal at 21 years old, and his numbers were great before he got hurt. So let's call that what it is. I know he had that bad shot in Pittsburgh, but you catch my drift on that. Bottom line, I really like the Kesler trade more and more. I liked it when it happened, and now that I'm seeing it in action, I really, really, really like it. So again, I think you'd be foolish to bet against this Ducks team, especially if they're firing on all cylinders and Perry, those guys are healthy. In terms of winning the Western Conference, ultimately winning the Stanley Cup. And, you need that X factor, and good on the Ducks for going out and acquiring that X factor. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's on episode of the Power Play with CJ on the Ryan Kesler and Chris Pronger deals. 8 years apart, but, could pay similar dividends for the Ducks. Stay tuned for episodes throughout the season and beyond. Later, guys.